Welcome to the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Pluff. Each week, we will cover various topics that dads struggle with in their fitness journey. I'll give you actionable steps that you can apply right away, not only to take back control of your own health, but so you're able to be a better example for your kids too. All right, welcome in. We are approaching Thanksgiving. We've got Christmas coming up. We got the New Year coming up. And all of a sudden, it's going to be 2024, right? The end of the year always goes by super fast. And it's a great time. It's a great time to kind of push things off, right? But it's also a great time to get started on the things you probably should have in January, right? This coming January, you're going to make New Year's resolutions. And chances are you've done them in the past. Chances are they haven't gone quite as well as you'd hope. And that's, to be honest, that's to be expected because the way people approach their goals is the way they approach pretty much everything. When we look to the future, we always think we're going to be somebody different, right? We're going to have a different mindset. We're going to be better financially. We're going to just overall be in a better spot. And unfortunately, that's just not the case, right? In order to create a better future, you have to create a better today, right? It sounds very cliche, but it's true, right? You've probably tried lots of diets before. You've probably tried lots of different workout programs. Maybe you've even tried to get up early in the morning. And what happens? It goes well for a little bit, but then, a weekend, maybe two, maybe not even that far, all of a sudden it's easier to press snooze. It's easier to skip your workout. It's easier to order DoorDash, right? And so all these things come up where you didn't plan for it, right? You didn't necessarily expect it. You thought things were going to go differently this time. But if you think back on all the times you've tried in the past to make a change, they've probably all gone about the same way. Unless you approached it differently. Now, obviously, you've made some changes in your life because you've gotten to this point, right? If you look back, you got through high school, maybe you went to college, you started your career, you started a family, you had kids, all these things. At some point, something had to change, right? If nothing ever changed, then you want to have any growth at all, and that's just not the case because you've grown a ton in your life, right? You've gotten from where you started to where you are. You're going to get to where you're going, but you may not have intentionally been able to make the changes you want to. And one of the things I think when I start working with clients is looking back at the beginning of when we first start. It's really easy to see which ones are going to have greater results. And the way I can tell, now sometimes it's hard at first when you don't know somebody, but once you look back and realize, think of maybe some of the notes I took on our first conversations or things like that, it's really easy to see, obviously connecting the dots backwards, right? Which ones had success and why. And the commonality between all of them is that they always look at the situation as what could go right. Most people, when they enter maybe a new job or they apply for a job that they really want, or maybe they're kind of deterred from applying to a new job or trying a new workout plan or moving, they always think, what could go wrong? How much money is this going to cost? What happens if it doesn't work out? But the clients I work with who have the most success, who see the best results, who stick with the longest, are the ones who adopt the mindset, what could go right? What happens if this works, right? Think about if you're starting a new business. You could make an entire notebook of notes listing all the reasons why you shouldn't do this. And they're probably all valid. But what happens if it works? You're going to start a job that is probably going to be more stressful than you're doing right now, but you're going to be able to work on your own terms. You're going to be doing something you're passionate about. You're going to provide for your family, potentially while working at home, right? That's a pretty good upside. The same thing goes for fitness and nutrition. You start a workout program. It's going to cost money to hire a coach. What happens if it goes right? You no longer have to struggle. You're no longer wasting money seeing no results. You're no longer just trying things. You're following a proven approach with a coach who has done this before, who has helped people just like you get the results you're after. That's what happens when it goes right. But if you go in thinking, well, how much money is this going to cost me? I don't want to just keep throwing money down the drain. Part of the reason you haven't seen success in the past is because you have that mindset. When you try something and all you can think of is what happens if this doesn't work, I can almost guarantee you it's not going to work. Now, every once in a while, some people tend to still have results because they followed through the process, right? And they had success despite their lack of faith, despite their kind of negative mindset, right? So that's what I want you to do. I want you to start thinking about all the reasons why this could work, right? Don't wait till January 1st. And unfortunately, most people will. Most people will wait till January 1st. They'll do well for a week. And then they'll start to fall off again. Because they're thinking, well, this is going to be just like every other time. It's only going to be like every other time if you let it be, right? If you come in with the same mindset as you do every single year, then yeah, you can't expect any different results. But if you go into it with the mindset of, what if this goes right? What if I do lose those 20 pounds? What if I'm able to find a workout routine that I can stick to? What's going to happen then? Well, I'm going to have more energy to play with my kids. I'm going to like what I see in the mirror more. I'm going to be at less risk of a heart attack. I'm going to be around for my family longer. I'm going to be a better dad. I'm going to be more productive at work. I'm going to have more energy to spend with my wife at night. That's a pretty good upside, right? So it might be worth adopting that mindset, right? Now, it's up to you. You don't have to. You can keep doing what you're doing, but I promise you're going to keep getting the same results. So instead of looking at the situation of, what if this doesn't work? Flip it. What if this does work? That concludes this episode of the Fatherhood Fitness Podcast. Thank you for those of you who took time out of your busy schedules to listen. If you have any questions or comments or an idea for a topic for a future episode, please feel free to reach out, and I'd love to hear from you.